Thank you, Governor. And it's great to be here on the campus of USF, one of our preeminent institutions and our latest member to join the AAAU. You know, when you look at our higher education system here in Florida.
All right, we were listening in there to Florida Governor DeSantis as well as officials speaking on education, but live right now we do see House Speaker Mike Johnson. He's just stepped up to the podium.
Oh, we're gonna get to hear from this spineless weasel.
It's a great concern to everyone who's paying attention to all this.
And I feel like both parties
will note
are
that,
built
more air
on the
traffic
backs of
controllers
spineless
and TSA
weasels.
agents and park rangers are about to go without a paycheck. You've got families and children that rely upon SNAP benefits that are going to go hungry here at the end of the week. You've got more critical workers, by the way, including the people who are the stewards of our nuclear defense arsenal, who are forced to stay at home as the government remains closed. The Democrats own every one of these consequences. So we want to point out a couple of important facts this morning for you. It's no coincidence that polling this week confirms that over 70% of the American people believe the Democratic Party is out of touch. And amazingly to us, still every day, they turn their backs on more and more hardworking American families to prolong their pain. And that is exactly what's being felt here. It is incredible to us that they've now voted 14 times between the House and Senate to reject the clean, simple funding bill that would simply reopen the government. 14 times they have thumbed their nose at the American people in spite of their pain that they themselves have acknowledged. And as we've explained here, the motivation behind that is very clear. This is why the polling is indicating what it is. The people know the Democrats are responding to fear. It is their fear of the most radical far-left voices in their party that has made them decide to obey the demands of the far left and to shut down the entire government and thereby inflict all this pain on the people. And almost comically at this point, the Democrats are still out trying to convince you that this is somehow Republicans' fault. But the facts are the facts, and the American people can see that very clearly. They see the truth. We brought you a handy scorecard here so you can, follow the votes. I mean, this is very simple. The votes to pay the troops and federal workers and continue SNAP benefits and get air traffic controllers and border patrol agents paid. This is the vote tally. You see the dates here. The House did our work back on September 19th, and we voted. Republicans voted yes. Democrats voted no.
They voted yes, people,
and the
yes.
Senate has now done it an additional 13 times. These are the votes. No one can say that this is in any way the fault of Republicans. We have a clean, simple bill, and everybody knows it. House and Senate Democrats are openly admitting that this is their shutdown. You have seen the highlight reel of all of them stumbling into admitting that. And yet they're also incoherently claiming that the shutdown is somehow on the fault of the other party. And the people aren't buying it. And that's why the polling continues to show that the approval of Republicans in Congress is rising with each passing day. And the Democrats, at the same time, Democrats in Congress have the lowest approval rating they have ever had since polling began, since recorded polling began on these metrics. And here's just an example yesterday. For example, CNN polling showed yesterday the approval of Republicans in Congress is up 8% since the shutdown began among independents. I mean, that's an important metric.
What's going on, everybody?
They understand what's happening and they see who is responsible. It's a really important thing to watch. Ronald Reagan used to remind us that you can always trust the American people. And
having an issue with the buffering. Apologies.
we do. We trust their intelligence. And we trust their understanding of basic civics. In fact, we trust the American people's understanding of civics far more than the Democrats in this building right now. And a quick reminder.
All right. I don't know. I'm having a lot of technical issues.
In the House of Representatives,
the last few weeks have been
majority vote. You need 218
little bit
votes
funny.
to pass legislation to pass a clean, continuing resolution to fund the government. That's exactly what we did on September 19th. They also know that in the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to pass substantive legislation. And we've only got 53 Republican seats. That means we need, by the math, at least 7 Democrats to join us to reopen the government. Now, in other words, the Democrats are the only reason that the government is closed. And there is no other way to spin that, to make something else true about it. And of course, the Democrats know all that. We've seen their party leaders, and we've
What's going
now made
on
their-
is Shadow
phrases
Arch.
and their comments famous here every morning. Chuck Schumer with Kathy Clark in the House. They've openly admitted that they're using the pain of
How
the
your day
American
going?
people as their leverage. Why? To show to their base that they're fighting, and they're counting on the American people not noticing all this. And that's the very reason why we have to come in here every morning and relay the simple truths. I mean, somebody handed me this as I was walking in here yesterday, according to the Media Research Center study, by a 2.5
hold
to
on a
1 margin,
second.
the Capitol Hill Press Corps
No
has tweeted
problem,
more
no
about the
problem.
House
I
calendar
appreciate
here this
that.
afternoon than the negative consequences of the
I'm
Democrat
trying to give
shutdown.
everybody that
And-
shout
and-
out.
and the-
Hopefully you're having a good
the
day.
troubles
Again,
that we
it's
have,
Shadow
the
Arch.
hardships that are being
What's
experienced
good?
because of the troop pay and WIC funding and flights grounded and SNAP funding. You guys are writing more about the House calendar than the real pain that's being inflicted on the American people, and that's why we have to come in and relay the simple facts. Now, there's a misguided strategy that the Democrats are pursuing right now, and it reveals two important things that can't be glossed over. Number one, it shows they have no cards to play except to try to blame the other team, which is ridiculous, and it shows how little they think of the American people. They had a rally a couple weeks ago. They tried to portray President Trump as a king, and we pointed out, again, the obvious truth. If the president was a king, then the government would be open. He's been trying to do that. And low-income families would be getting the food assistance.
Everybody's using
that they had by
terms.
Saturday.
How's everybody
Republicans
doing? Where y'all
cannot wave
from?
the wand and reopen the government on our own. We must have a handful of centrist Democrats in the Senate do the right thing. And any Democrat suggesting otherwise knows exactly what they're doing, and they insult the intelligence of the American people. And by the way, every reporter in this room when they do that. Unlike Democrats, Republicans
appreciate
have nothing
that.
to twist or spin. We are
That's
just
what's up.
simply here relaying
Thanks for the subscribe.
simple facts and the truth. And the American people are responding to
Carry
that.
on, my
That's
friend.
why the polling indicates that they trust us more than the other side.
Later.
Because we are the ones here telling you the truth. We have nothing to hide. They are trying to obscure the facts. And by the way, the biggest unions are beginning to say the same thing. On Monday, the largest union of federal workers, the American Federation of Government
Oh no, I
Employees,
don't play
came out,
Roblox.
as you saw, and publicly urged Democrats to join Republicans and pass the House's short-term funding bill. The union president said, quote, "A strong America requires a functioning government, one that pays its bills, honors its commitments, and treats its workforce with respect by paying them on time." Amen to that. Of course, we agree. But it wasn't just the AFGE. You had the same commentary, the same plea by the National Association of Air Traffic Controllers, the Coalition of Airline Pilots Associations, the NetJets Association of Shared Aircraft Pilots, the Allied Pilots Association, the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association, the leader of the Teamsters, and the New York Steamfitters Union. They're all coming out. These are the constituencies that the Democrats claim that they support, and that's why the unions came on side of the Republicans in the last election. They've had enough of this nonsense, and they've all called on Senate Democrats to end this shameful shutdown. And it is a shame. The Democrats need to be publicly prodded by their millions of hardworking Americans to just simply do the most basic function of their jobs. A rational person would read the pleas of the federal workers and conclude that it is time to end the charade and turn the lights back on.
Whose
But
fault
the
do you think it
Democrats
is,
are
really?
not rational right now, and they deliberately ignored the plight of all these federal workers around the country. People are going to remember this, and they should. I want to quote to you a couple of senators over there on the Democrat side. Listen to this nonsense. Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator from Virginia, and this is noteworthy because Virginia is the state with the largest number of federal employees. He claims that federal workers want him to vote against reopening the government. He literally said, quote, "I think they want us to fight this." Fight what, Mark? What are you talking about? We have a clean CR. This is not a partisan dispute. It's ridiculous. Senator Tim Kaine is the junior senator from the same state of Virginia with the largest number of federal employees, and he said, quote, "I work very closely with them, and the AFGE would not want us to cut a deal." What the heck are you
What's
talking
going
about,
on?
Senator? There's no deal here. We're not talking about a deal.
What's your
We're talking
name?
about a clean
Let me see if
CR
I
that
say it right.
all of you voted for, even as recently as this year. Here's my favorite one. This is the best quote.
Sam.
When asked about the AFGE,
I think that's your name. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Senator,
I'm keeping up with the
Janine
government
Shaheen said,
shutdown
quote,
story.
"I had
We're
a
trying to see what's
conversation with
happening."
the president of AFGE earlier right after
trying
the
to keep
shutdown.
up with this
And
whole
that was their
civil
position then.
unrest. They're trying
So,
to
let
create
me
a
just translate for
divide,
you.
not
Senator
just from
Shaheen
government, but of
spoke with
people.
the head of
So
the
I
largest
like to
federal
cover some of this
employee
stuff.
labor union. The president of that union explained to her the harmful effects of a shutdown, and then Senator Shaheen went out and voted to close the government anyway, and continued to do that more than a dozen additional times. Senate Democrats knew the pain this would cause. They knew about the missed paychecks. They knew the uncertainty of making rent for so many people. They knew about the missed meals. They knew about delayed flights. They knew that our nuclear arsenal and our national defense would be negatively affected by this, and they did not care.
Is
They shut
this
the government down
strategy
anyway
though? Is
to
this how they
appease the
plan
far
to
left
break us
voices of
down?
their base. And the Democrats have some soul searching to do. Are they going to continue to do that? Are they going to run from the far left and do their bidding? Or are they going to do right by millions of federal workers and the American people who continue to show up to work daily without pay? Are they going to do right and reopen the government so that those people are taken care of instead of the Marxist far left base in their party? That is the question. And we pray that Senate Democrats come to their senses before the situation becomes too dire. On Saturday, this gets very real. SNAP benefits will stop flowing to all those who need it. You're talking about tens of millions of Americans at risk of going hungry if the Senate Democrats can continue this gambit. Instead of taking a simple vote to fund the government, which Senate Democrats have now had more than a dozen opportunities to do, Democrat attorneys general are suing the federal government to try to compel.
No, I was thinking
SNAP
closing
benefits
this
to
government
flow despite the government being
shutdown,
closed,
closing
and
the
despite
SNAP
fact
benefits,
that there is
creating
no
millions
money
of
to do
people
that.
unhappy,
Congress hasn't
starving,
authorized that. The contingency
wondering
fund
what
for
they're going to
that
do.
will
Is
something
that
be
going to
batted
create
down when the
that
Democrats
civil unrest they're
decided
looking
to vote
for,
against
that
the
boogaloo
CR
that they're looking
and shut the
for?
government. For Democrats, there's a much easier option on the
I
table.
don't think people think
Just
about
go
it
do
as
your
deeply
job
as they
and
should,
fully fund all these programs and all these categories of people.
but it
by
is
voting for the
interesting.
CR. That's it. You don't have to do anything for Republicans. Just do your job for your constituents. Until Democrats recognize the pain that's gone on for so long, Republicans will be in their districts helping their constituents clean up the mess that Democrats are making, and help them make ends meet, and help them find the assistance, the food assistance, and all these other things that they're going to have to rely upon. And joining us this morning to discuss the Democrats' shutdown impacts on our national defense and on foreign affairs is our great chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army, our good friend, Chairman Brian Mast. Brian?
Thank you, Speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything going on, it really puts an exclamation point on the fact that we have the greatest population anywhere across the globe. I do want to start just by saying thank you to all of our workers. We have workers whose lives are being very literally affected, and they're still coming to work every day. Those are really big, amazing people. That's our American workforce. So I just want to start by saying thank you to them, all of our TSA workers, all of our air traffic controllers, our ICE, our CBP, our State Department people that I deal with.
I mean, you think
And
about it, if you
to put a
control the
point,
food, do you control
maybe
the
moving to
world?
State Department, because that's what I deal with the most, about the very serious stakes of what is going on right now.
Why would he use
Not
that
just
term
with
right
people's
now?
lives and them not being able to pay their bills, but with what's going on across the globe. To juxtapose these positions, we have President Trump in Asia right now, very literally trying to make sure that the United States of America is not cut off from rare earth minerals or other things, which is what China is literally trying to do. That's why there was a threat of another 100% tariff, because China was sending around letters saying, all you neighboring countries don't sell to America. So the president is abroad trying to protect our homeland. And we have Democrats here at home doing everything that they can to weaken our homeland. That's a difference of values. And the stakes of those values is the future of the greatest country on the face of this earth. We should pray that our adversaries would be stupid enough to say they're going to prioritize funding feminism in Africa over the food stamps of their own people. They're not that stupid, but apparently Hakeem Jeffries is, and that's a real problem for all of us here. I was on the phone with an
Oh, he's
ambassador
calling
this
this
morning.
man's
I'm not gonna say
integrity
where,
and
but
intelligence
we
out.
have requests for people to leave embassies abroad because of very real threats that are going on. The people in that embassy are right now trying to figure out if they have cash funding to get fuel for vehicles or to have diesel to put in their generators because they don't have reliable electricity in the places that they're in. Those are the real world consequences. While they're also worrying about their paycheck isn't coming in, can their family back home buy groceries, pay their bill for student loans, pay for the fuel to get their kids to school, or the tuition at their children's school, or all the other things that they have to worry about while they're worrying about can they even get out of country. So those are the difference of values. I guess I would close it by saying this. We need 5 Democrat senators to pull their heads out of their asses and go work for the United States of America.
Thank you, Chairman Mast. Thank you for your service to our country and for keeping the focus where it needs to be on making sure America stays strong in the midst of
I
turbulent
mean, look, I was
times.
thinking that being that
You
the
know, what's
Republicans
so
and the
sad about
Democrats are
this
still getting
shutdown is that
paid,
we don't need
and
to
they
be
haven't
in
come to an
these
agreement, why don't
turbulent
they
times.
donate
There's a
some of their paycheck money to
self-imposed
feed the
wound
soldiers and
that
pay their
Hakeem
bills and
Jeffries
tuitions and everything
Chuck
else that
Schumer
they're
have
talking
imposed
about?
on the country?
But I guess they want
And
other
if you
people to
look
flip that
over
bill.
this last month of the shutdown, you've seen Democrats literally playing a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde game with the American people. On one hand, they'll try to say, it's not us, it's the Republicans. Gee whiz, as the speaker talked about, oh, they control the House, Senate, and White House when they know that they are the ones that are shutting the government down. And then on the other hand, Mr. Jekyll's side, they're saying that they know that they're causing pain on the American people. They admit that there is suffering, but they're doing it for leverage. So you can't have it both ways, Chuck Schumer. You can't wake up one day and say you're going to try to blame it on the Republicans, and then on the next day, you're trying to say that, gee whiz, we know that we're causing these problems. They're admitting they're causing suffering on people, but they're doing it for leverage. And they can't even explain what that leverage is, because they just need to show their radical base that they're having a fight with Donald Trump. It's all it's been about from the beginning. You really want to know who's calling the shots in the Democrat Party? You saw it on the stage this past weekend. Bernie and AOC on the stage with the new leader of the Democrat Party, Mamdani.
Uh-oh, the
Maybe Chuck
concerns.
Schumer's waiting for Mamdani to let him know when he can open the government back up again. But families can't wait because the real suffering is going to begin. It's already been happening, but it really hits home this weekend when SNAP benefits
And they're
run
going
out.
to
They
put the
know
hurting
that.
on the people.
But I'm going to go through some of the lies, the myths, the things that they say when they know better. Chuck Schumer just yesterday said, quote, Republicans are in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House, but they're refusing to do their job. Now, Chuck Schumer's been in Congress since the 1980s. And he knows that every day he's been there, there's been a requirement that you need not 51, not a majority like we need in the House. He was in the House where you did need a majority, and then he went over to the Senate where it's always been a requirement that you need a supermajority. And in fact, when they changed the rules, it's not a standard or a custom, it's an actual Senate rule that you need 60 votes. The rule used to be higher. And in 1975, many of you might have thought Chuck Schumer voted for that rule. He came in just a few years after. In 1975 is when they lowered the threshold to 60 votes. It used to actually be a higher standard in the rules. And so every day Chuck Schumer's been in Congress, it always took more than a simple majority, in fact, 60 votes to pass these kinds of bills through the Senate. And he knows that. So you'd ask him, why is he trying to lie and mislead the American people?
Aside from that, I
When
just
he
find it
makes a
interesting that
statement
he
like that,
used the term
he knows he's
higher
trying to
standards,
mislead the
as it seems
American
this country is
people.
being ran by lower
And yet on other
standards.
days, he doesn't
Maybe
he
no
knows he's
standards at
causing
all.
suffering, but he's doing it for leverage. And so this game back and forth is what the American people are sick and tired of. Hakeem Jeffries, quote, we didn't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill. He knows good and well that it was a clean CR. If Democrats still to this day don't know the difference between a clean CR and partisan bills, did they stop reading the bills? Because they used to vote for these bills just since 2017. Go look at the facts. Speaker likes talking about the facts. Facts are important here.
Go
Since
fact yourself. Go
2017,
fact yourself.
30 different CRs, 30 times CRs have moved to keep the government open. And do you know 29 of the previous times Chuck Schumer's voted yes? 29. This 30
Oh, I'm dropping everything. I'm sorry, people.
voted no.
I
Of
dropped
course, it's
my
what's changed if you
bottle.
voted.
Let me get ready to cut this show
29
out.
times before this.
I'll be back
You
later.
voted for clean CRs. What's changed? This is a clean CR.